Hello, I'm Kevin Hong. I'm a partner at LYC Partners, an executive search and leadership advisory firm. I'm also the co-founder of The Council, a private network for senior executives. And this is Leaders in Motion.
In this leadership episode, I want to move past the usual headlines about artificial intelligence and focus on what is actually happening inside organizations. Not product demos, not hype, real attempts to use AI in work that matters. Recently, we brought together 3 perspectives. A practical case from executive search and recruiting, an implementation playbook from a consultant working with manufacturers, retailers, and consumer brands, and a governance view from Europe, where regulation is moving quickly and shaping how companies can compete. I will take them in that order. First, what we did in our firm, then how others are implementing AI with discipline. Finally, how governance is quietly becoming a competitive edge. Let me start with our own business. At LYC Partners, we work on executive search. Our consultants speak with C-suite leaders across Asia and beyond. They assess leadership, culture, and fit for complex roles. A few years ago, we realized that something uncomfortable. These highly capable consultants were spending most of their time not in conversations with leaders but in front of screens, scrolling LinkedIn and other databases, screening long lists of profiles, drafting repetitive outreach messages. In some teams, up to 70% of their time went to this kind of work. It did not make sense. The very people who can advise boards were behaving like manual search engines. Before AI was mature enough to help, the traditional answer was to add more junior staff or offshore support. But the underlying question remained: what is the best use of our consultant time? When modern AI tools became more capable, we were already halfway prepared. Over several years, we had segmented our search process into clear steps. We knew where human judgment is indispensable, where the work is repetitive and rule-based. This let us run what turned into a 1-year experiment: AI versus human, on sourcing and first-round screening. On one side, our team worked as usual. On the other, we built a workflow that used AI to parse our own database and external platforms, screen and rank candidates against the brief, draft outreach messages, and track responses. After 6 months, the outcome was clear. On sourcing and initial screening, the AI-assisted workflow was faster and more consistent than our manual process. That result created 2 very different reactions. On the analytical side, it was encouraging. We could free up consultant time and improve speed for clients. On the human side, it triggered real concern. In one training session, a team member said it out loud: "You are replacing us." At that moment, the project stopped being only about technology. It became about what kind of work we want people to do and how we talk about it. We did 3 things. First, we drew a very clear line between human work and machine work. Together with the team, we mapped the process: human-only tasks, assessing leadership and culture, advising boards, managing delicate transitions, understanding politics inside organizations, and machine-friendly tasks, scanning large databases, ranking profiles, generating first version of outreach messages, and summaries. The message was simple: we are not trying to replace judgment, we are trying to remove the digital equivalent of paper shuffling. Second, we change how we measure performance. If AI handles sourcing and basic screening, then KPIs based on numbers of CVs viewed or number of messages sent lose the meaning. We shifted attention to it. client satisfaction, quality of shortlist and placements, repeat business from clients and candidates, project management and prioritization. In other words, we align incentives with human-centric value, not with volume. Third, we treated the team as core designers, not passive users. We did not drop a tool on them, we involved them fully in shaping what would become our AI platform for search work, DexAI. They saw where the system performed well and where it failed. They gave feedback on the ranking logic and outreach tone. The paradox we observed is worth highlighting. The more AI we put into the process, the more human the consultants had to become. With the repetitive work delegated, they had less excuse to stay behind the screen. The value shifted visibly toward conversations with senior leaders, honest advice on talent and succession, bridging cultural gaps across markets, and for clients, this combination has been powerful. They can benefit from speed and breadth on the AI side while still relying on judgment and trust on the human side. For careers, it also sends a signal. The executives who stand out in this environment are not the ones who promise to do AI. They are the ones who can explain in plain terms how they use AI to reshape work while raising the bar for human contribution. From there, let us zoom out to the wider implementation picture. In the webinar, consultant Alex Liu shared what he's seeing across automotive, luxury, and consumer clients. The pattern is similar not only in China or Europe. Many companies are now running some form of AI program. They have pilot projects, task forces, steering committees. But a large share of these efforts never reach scale. Studies from leading universities suggest that most AI applications fail to deliver the value that was promised at the beginning. Alex described a simple question he puts to leadership teams. If every company can access the same AI models, where will your advantage come from? In that world, OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepSeek, and others are open to everyone. The edge does not come from owning a slightly different model. It comes from how you choose use cases, how you redesign workflows, and how your people work with the tools. He offered a few practical rules that echo what we learned in our own firm. Rule 1. Start small but real. The temptation is to launch a grand AI transformation, a program that covers every function from HR to supply chain, with big slides and big budgets. In practice, this often leads to what he called big failure in slow motion. Many stakeholders, many promises, and not enough impact early on. The companies that move faster tend to do the opposite. They pick narrow, concrete problems. A manufacturer using AI to forecast specific production disruptions, not to reinvent the whole factory. A retailer focusing on one flagship product on building an AI-enabled marketing funnel around it, instead of redesigning all channels all at once. In both cases, the scope is modest, but the link between the use case and the business outcome is very clear. This makes it easier to show result and to build internal support. Rule 2. Change how you look at return on investment. Many board discussions will still start from a replacement mindset. How many people could this tool allow us to remove? Alex argued for a different frame. First, identify repeated, low judgment work that consumes time. Then ask, if we free these hours, what higher value work could these people do instead? Examples include moving staff from manual reporting to client-facing analysis, freeing account managers from data entry so they can spend more time with customers, allowing planners to concentrate on scenario thinking rather than on spreadsheet maintenance. In that view, AI is less a cost-cutting device and more an engine for shifting human effort upwards in the value chain. Rule 3. Use what already exists before building your own. Alex also cautioned against over-engineering at the start. Some companies begin by buying hardware, assembling GPU clusters, and planning to train their own model from scratch. In most cases, this is not necessary. Today, there is a wide range of ready-made tools and platforms. Many allow you to build structured workflows, where each block is a step a human would normally take, without writing large amounts of code. You can keep control of the process while the model handles the language and pattern recognition. This approach reduces time to value and lowers technical risk, especially for mid-sized firms. Rule 4. Do not ignore culture and skills. Perhaps the most important point was cultural. If the daily reality inside the company does not change, no AI project will deliver much. Alex gave a simple example. A firm that claims to be rolling out AI, but whose finance team still sends Excel attachment back and forth by email, the technology can be advanced, but the habits stay old. Successful firms invest in upskilling. They give staff time and support to learn how to use new tools. They set expectations early that everyone will need to adapt, from junior staff to senior leaders. And they make sure managers see AI as a way to strengthen their teams, not to compete with them. From our side, when we speak with boards now, we see a shift. They are less interested in abstract talk about AI disruption and more interested in who has actually delivered a small, real project with clear numbers. It can be as simple as we reduced waste by 18% in one site by changing how we forecast demand. We cut the time to shortlist candidates from 2 weeks to 2 days, while keeping client satisfaction high. These are the kind of stories that travel well inside organizations and later in interviews. The last piece is governance. It is not the most glamorous part of AI, but it is becoming one of the most strategic. In the webinar, Benoit Lautour, who has spent 2 decades around European institutions, started with a simple observation. Most business leaders see regulation as a barrier, something you have to comply with at minimum cost so that you can get on with the real work. His view was more nuanced. He pointed out that the European AI framework sits on 3 pillars: a desire to stay close to Western partners on tech standards, a lack of local AI giants which leads policymakers to use rules as trade tools, and a strong cultural bias toward precaution. The effect is a dense, sometimes rigid set of rules. For foreign firms, it can feel like a moving wall. But Benoit argued that if you step back, you can see another pattern. Companies that decide to treat governance as part of a strategy can use it to build an advantage. He used the image of 2 Europes, the theater, Brussels, Strasbourg, national capitals. Here the debates are about principles, right, and political balance. And the real economy, factories, hospitals, logistic hubs. Here the questions are concrete. Does this solution work? Is it safe? Is it affordable? The mistake in his view is to spend all your time trying to win the ideological debate in the theater or to wait. In practice, your success will be decided in the real economy, not in panel discussions. Companies that do well tend to build what he calls a trust bridge between these 2 Europes. That bridge has 3 main elements: First, a clear value story. Instead of leading with AI and technical details, they lead with outcomes. Lower accident rates, higher energy efficiency, better patient outcomes, shorter delivery times. This makes it easier for customers, regulators, and the public to understand why the solution matters. It also reduces fear because the focus is on problem solving, not on abstract technology. Second, credible local faces. These companies invest in senior people based in Europe with deep knowledge of both the regulatory machinery and the local culture. They're not just legal advisors, they act as pilots and translators between the company and the system. For outside firms, including those firms from China, this can be the difference between long delays and relatively smooth entry. Third, early engagement with the rule-making process. European legislation is long and complex, but much of it is open for consultation. Drafts are published, industry groups can respond, standards bodies invite comment, firms that engage early can spot risk and opportunities ahead of time, shape language at the margin. Avoid nasty surprises after they have invested. Benoit gave the example of NIO, the Chinese electric vehicle maker. Rather than waiting passively for each EU rule, they sought global safety certifications that are respected in Europe and beyond. That gave them a trust mark they could use not only in one country but across multiple markets. He also mentioned firms such as drone maker DJI, where questions around privacy and data have not stopped adoption entirely but have forced both companies and regulators to find workable compromises. The broader point for leaders is this: regulation is not going away. In some regions it will become stricter, in others it will arrive later but draw heavily from the European playbook. Executives who understand the regulatory environment as well as the technology will have more room to move. They will know how much risk they can take, how fast they can move, how to explain the choices to board employees and authorities. For careers, this matters. We are now seeing demand for leaders who can say not only I built an AI product, but also I built an AI product, navigated data in AI roles in the one region, and then led expansion into another region with a different regulatory logic. That kind of experience travels. If we put all this together, a simple picture emerges. On the ground, AI can already change how people work. As we have seen in executive search, it can remove repetitive tasks and push humans toward more relational and judgment-heavy work. On the company level, the difference between noise and real change often comes down to implementation discipline, starting small, proving value, and building momentum. Across markets, governance is shifting from a box-ticking exercise to a strategic topic that shapes who can enter, who can stay, and who can scale. For leaders, the questions are straightforward, even if the answers are not. Where in your own workflows are people doing work that a machine could do just as well? What is one narrow AI use case you could test in the next 90 days with clear measures of success? And how well do you really understand the regulatory environment you're operating in? At LYC Partners, we work with boards and leadership teams on these themes, assessing international leaders, aligning global and local teams, and building capabilities that work across regions. If you want to continue the conversation, you can reach us via LinkedIn or through our website. This episode of Leaders in Motion is produced by Melanie Hong, who helps leaders turn their expertise into strong personal brands and premium podcasts. I'm Kevin Hong. Thank you for listening and see you next time.